constantly passing the ball?
Yep. It's like they just took the general Asian stereotypes and they just copy pasted onto a basketball scouting report.
It's basically what it was.
It makes no sense too.
I think somewhere on the stat said amazing at math. Like, I swear to God, it was just like some like it had nothing to do with it. I swear to God, bro.
Welcome to The Worst Asian Podcast, where a couple Asian American millennials give you our shitty opinions on all things Asian. My name is Lingjie, and I'm here with my co-host, 6'2", but not NBA superstar, Ben.
6'2", coming out of Queens College, not finished.
Queens College, what is that, Division 5 basketball.
Yes, I'm the sixth string point guard.
You and I are big basketball fans, and we have the basketball NBA season coming up.
Knicks all day.
But screw this season. I want to go back in time.
Okay.
Let's welcome someone to the podcast that's going to transport us back 10 years when us New York Knicks fans actually had some hope.
Yeah.
Let's give it for storyteller and director of the new Jeremy Lin documentary, 38 at the Garden. Everyone welcome Frank Chi.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor.
Appreciate you making time. You're on the West Coast right now, so it is way too early for you.
We will Venmo you some more coffee money. For sure. We got you. Starbucks gift card for you.
How you doing today, man?
Oh, I can't complain. The movie's T-minus 13 days, 12 days. So it comes out October 11th. So we're game faces. That's the best way to put it. I'm ready.
The PR tours must be taking a toll on you.
We're like still relatively early in that stage. I don't mind it. I love talking about this. I think part of it is just because it's all relative. Like, people don't cover Asian American stories. And this is a moment, we very much sort of force the issue with this movie. This is a moment that everybody remembers really well. To be able to revisit it this way is a blessing.
Great. I guess I forgot to ask. For the listeners out there, can you give a quick intro on yourself?
Sure. So I am a filmmaker and a storyteller, an artist. I don't really consider myself to be tied into one platform. But I started my career in politics and nonprofit marketing. And I'll put it this way. I'm really proud of all of the work that I've done, but it's only recently when I've really started telling Asian American stories. Yeah. Part of that is just because what we just said, right? People don't focus and give too much attention to this identity and how it belongs in the American experience. So, when you're getting paid to do marketing and all that kind of stuff, you're doing stuff for other identities, straight up, right? But recently, I would say up until this project, and even a lot with this project, making Asian American content, telling compelling stories from the community, I have to drag into existence with my bare hands because people don't fight stuff. I'm sure you all have to run into this all the time, right? So we could get into it a little deeper later on, just talking about my motivations with making this and whatnot. But that's always been an example of the work that I did. Me and my friends did Notorious RBG.
Yeah.
That's dope, but it's nothing to do with me personally.
Right.
It's just something that I believed in.
This was a bit more personal to you.
Yeah.
This is the most personal thing I've ever done in my life.
Speaking of which, how hard was it to actually get this whole project started? How hard was it to get it greenlit? Because we are not in the filmmaking industry, so
we're clueless.
We imagine there takes a lot of people to say yes before things actually get greenlit.
Look, I'll put it this way. No names or nothing. But, we had a couple really big places turn us down. And it was really disappointing because we thought they were total locks. And then what we did was we were just hey, listen, let's go raise the money ourselves. We'll just
is that what happened here?
We don't need anybody else's permission to do this. And you all, I'm just going to give you all some in the weeds here. A lot of our early donors were Asian American from the Bay who had really fond memories of Linsanity, some early tech money. You can imagine what the profile of the person who would donate to this
of course.
is, right? So we were obviously that's the group of folks who would most likely want to see this thing and has the resources to help us bring this thing to life. And it's sort of when you're trying to tell Asian American stories, even one as big as Linsanity,
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You just got to find out all the ways you can make it real, because people are not just going to greenlight your stuff.
It's so surprising because a story like this that took the whole nation by storm, not just within our community, but with the nation as a whole, you would think that somewhere along the 10 years since all this happened, someone would have made some short film, something about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, so Jeremy has a biopic from 2013 called Linsanity, but so like it was like a year after it happened, right? I think for us, on the 10-year anniversary of it, one, that there's just more time, and two, like I won't speak for Jeremy, but I'll just quote him from Tribeca when we premiered it. He was like, like everything's so much better when it's not about you. Like the movie's actually not about Jeremy. It is. Obviously, it's the story as an example. It's not a straightforward like biopic. It's at the end of the movie, you all seen it. Like, I don't think, are you thinking about Jeremy at the end, or are you even thinking about basketball? Or are you thinking about yourself?
The main message is obviously about his career and like those couple of weeks where he took this entire nation by storm. But I think the overall message of the film is completely different.
Yeah. It was really refreshing how you got other people's perspective and like how all this has culminated. Like even Joe Lacob's, the reason why he actually, am I allowed?
I don't think that's any spoilers. Yeah.
I thought it was so cool that he gave Jeremy Lin a shot when they were like the general manager. And the reason why was because Joe was like, yo, this kid keeps beating my son.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so
hilarious.
That was such an inside thing. I was like, holy crap.
There's a part of it that's so sad, right? Because like,
crazy,
it's like, that's what was necessary to make Linsanity real, was because Joe Lacob's son played against Jeremy. I mean, like, it's amazing that happened, right?
Yeah.
But like, I always put it this way, and before we get to, I wanted to give you all like a sense of like how we came up with the idea and everything. But I would just say this. Jeremy's story is the greatest example in the Asian American community of somebody who saw that wall of stereotypes.
Yeah.
That tries to define every single one of us.
Right.
And he saw every crack in that wall. And he just kept on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until that wall came falling down.
Yeah.
Right? So a crack in that wall is, Harvard being D1, even though they're not giving giving scholarships.
Besides like MIT and shit, right?
Right. And then, the crack in the wall is Joe Lacob being like, okay, yeah, we'll sign him. Right? The crack in the wall is like having the opportunity to check into that Nets game one last time before he gets cut. Right? Like, we're all, if you're Asian in this country, you're looking for those cracks in the wall so you don't get defined when you walk into a party, when you walk into a meeting, when you walk down the street. Right? And like that's why the story is so powerful to me, man. Like Jeremy's story is like all of our story. It just happened on the world stage. And it just shows what happens when you don't look at those stereotypes, but you just give somebody a shot and you see what their value is.
It's crazy to think that it took so many fluky things for this to even happen. Actually, for him to even get the chance to make it happen himself, that all these miscellaneous things had to happen. Because if one thing didn't happen, like if he didn't play against his son, or if, I don't know, he didn't get that chance to come off that bench that one day, or, whatever, some fluke thing, then none of this would ever have been possible.
Yeah, even the fact that Dan Toney was just like, fuck it, I'm just putting you in, just by random chance. Tyson Chandler was fucking amazing, by the way.
Right?
I loved how like honest he was about it. He was like, yo, the Asian kid? Yeah. Wait, I think he's not the water boy? Oh, he's our point guard? Oh shit. All right, fine. They all looked at Dan Toney like it was crazy.
Yeah.
Just those little things that keep happening. I'm like, holy crap.
We sort of run through his highlight clip from high school, and we're like, California State Player of the Year, California State Championship, 0 recruits, right? A 3-time All Ivy League, 18 points a game, the undrafted. And then you're sitting there, you're just like, okay, like, and then you remember, like, we put in the pre-draft notes from the NBA scouts.
Yeah, too soft.
Confidence, constantly passing the ball.
Yep.
It's like they just took the general Asian stereotypes and they just copy-pasted onto a basketball scouting report.
It's basically what it was.
It makes no sense, too.
I think somewhere on the stat said amazing at math. Like, I swear to God, it was just like some, like it had nothing to do with it. I swear to God, bro.
His basketball scouting report has his SAT scores on it.
Basketball, like Jeremy Lin playing basketball from high school to the NBA is just going downhill, has the ball in his hand. You better watch out. It's like a train coming down the lane, right? Like, how do you think that lacks confidence? Like, you might not like the style of play. That's fine. That's.
Can we say that if his name was not Jeremy Lin and he had some generic name like Jeremy Smith and no one saw a picture of him, the human being, just looked at his numbers, that he would definitely have gotten more offers?
Oh, yeah.
I for sure. Look, I think for the intents and purposes of having a chip on the shoulder, especially being Asian in this country, we could go on and on and on about all of this, right? I think what we decided to do was just like put it in the context of talking about stereotypes, not even in the necessary sense of like how they like try to stop us from our dreams, but just like how they become dangerous, right? And I think that was like, I'll put it this way. If I were to describe this movie without any basketball, like without any basketball whatsoever, I would say part 1 is about stereotypes. Part 2 is about what happens when someone comes out of nowhere and shatters those stereotypes on the world stage. And part 3 is about today, when those stereotypes have been weaponized. And when they're weaponized, they turn into anti-Asian violence. It's not very hard to understand. I mean, I never needed to explain that anybody was Asian, right?
Yeah.
Like when I say that to someone who's not, it's like a light bulb goes off. They're like, "Oh, that's what it." I'm like, "Yeah," but like if you grew up with those stereotypes, you know they follow you around in school and at work. I mean, obviously, it's what it is, right? Like they think you're weak, right? Because that's a stereotype, and then all of a sudden, like it happens. That was the main reason why we wanted to make this movie. It wasn't actually recounting Linsanity. It was on the 10-year anniversary during the worst time to be Asian in modern history. How do we bring attention to this? And that's why Jeremy did it. That's why we did it.
Did it take a lot of convincing to get Jeremy on board with this project? Did you have to tell him that this was more than just a highlight reel of the period?
I'll give you all a sense of how we started with this thing. In 2020, I'm having a conversation with one of my producers, Trayvon Free. Trayvon won the 2021 Oscar for a live action short for Two Distant Strangers, right? He's this Hollywood figure. And we're having this conversation about impossible moments, right? What is a moment when society at large assigns to a group of people saying you can't do something, and then someone comes out of nowhere and shatters it, right? And we were doing it in the context of Obama. Because that's the biggest impossible moment any of us have lived through.
That's a good example.
Of course.
That's true.
So we were like, okay, what other moments feel like Obama? And I'm like, bro, I'm Asian. So there's only one answer, right? And he was like, man, I remember Linsanity, but I don't have that perspective. So I told him about my night when Jeremy dropped 38 at the Garden. And that's why the name of the movie is 38 at the Garden, because that's what I explained it to him. I was like, two most magical societal moments of my life. The night Obama got elected president, and the night Jeremy dropped 38 at the Garden. That's why it's called 38 at the Garden. And I was living in DC at the time, and I took the train up to New York, and I'm trying to get in the game.
At the Lakers game?
It's Penn Station, so you go straight up the escalator.
I know. It's right there.
I am lit. I missed the game in DC because he played against the Wizards.
And John Wall and shit,
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm so mad at myself. I need to catch this game. So I take the train up, and like the scalpers, I mean, they know what's going on, right?
Yeah,
so
of course. They got to make their bread.
Yeah. They're trying to charge me like $700. That was like the lowest number I could find around the stadium. And I was like, okay, I don't have $700, bro. Like, I'm sorry. I want to be here for this, but like, I'm not paying $700. And Koreatown's like right next door, right?
Yep. Shout out to Koreatown.
I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go to Koreatown.
Nice.
At one of the karaoke bars or something and just watch it.
Okay.
Look, I tell Jeremy this, like, looking back on it, I wouldn't have traded the experience I actually had for being in the Garden.
Why so?
I am surrounded by people who look like me, who are maybe my age or a little bit older.
Yeah.
And we had 2 hours of just people losing their shit. Okay?
It was fucking magic, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, I mean, I'm sure you all remember that night vividly in your own lives, right? But like, I mean, people are running around, they're crying into their beer.
I was standing up, shouting and shit.
And I'm doing all those things too, but I'm like an observer too. I'm like, what is this? Like, is this that wall of stereotypes we were talking about? That like is a cathartic reaction to seeing that wall come down? Is it maybe the fact that we all had to play violin and piano when our parents were like trying to make us study for the SATs and we couldn't live out our athletic dreams or whatever? Like, maybe it's both. I'll tell you what, it's certainly both for me, right?
We can relate.
Yeah. So I'm explaining this to Trayvon. He's just like, what the hell? Like, why is that not a movie? Like, how did you not made that movie? Like, Linsanity from the Asian fan's perspective. Like, how is that not a movie? And like, you all saw the movie. Like, the first part of the movie is called Doubt. The first thing I did when he said that to me was doubt it. I was like, man, that was 8 years ago. Like, nobody cares what Asian people think in this country. We're invisible.
You said this was in 2020 that you pitched this.
2020, yeah. Look, to Trey's credit, he didn't push me. He was just like, listen, man, I'm just telling you, it's a great story. So I let it sit for a couple of weeks. And I'm just thinking about it. And I'm like, look, in 2 years, it's the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And this is 2020. So anti-Asian violence, during that COVID stretch was already picking up. And I'm like, look, if Jeremy's down to talk about it from this perspective, and we can make it about the community, we can make it about stereotypes, we can make it about this bigger moment, then we have to drag this thing into existence. And I talked to Trayvon a couple of weeks later. I was like, look, man, remember that idea? Like 38 the Garden? Like, I made a deck. All right, let's go.
Oh, you made a pitch deck.
Yeah. And then right after that, we talked to our other producer, Samir Hernandez. Samir Samir knows every athlete in America. Like, there's just no other way to put it. Like, I mean, he's like tight with Tyson Chandler. He's tight with Shump. Like, why are they in the movie? You get it.
Oh, because he's tight with
them. Yeah. Shit. Yeah.
Samir knows everyone. And within like 1 degree of separation, we were talking to Jeremy. And Jeremy, it's funny when I won't speak for him, but like, I'll just give you like a sense of what that initial round was like. He was like, man, I'm just trying to make it. I was trying to survive in the league, man. I wasn't even thinking about all this
the bigger impact.
The bigger stuff, right? He was like, I knew people were going crazy, but he was just like, he was like, are you sure it meant them? I'm like, bro, are you serious? Like, yes. Like, he's so humble, man. Like, that's the thing about Jeremy. He's just like, he does not take this and he's like, oh yeah, I'm tight. I'm sweet. He's not one of those people. He stays like very, very focused. And he was also like, look, later in my career, when I was just trying to make sure that I had a long NBA career, I didn't want to be defined by Linsanity. I wanted to have my own career that wasn't like, oh yeah, that's one chapter of it. But like, I was running away from it for a really long time.
Oh, right.
So
like, he didn't want to make it like a fluke. Like, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be a starter.
Exactly. Look, I respected and I understood all of that. But it took like, and it's funny, I made that Obama example earlier. I was like saying that to him. He was like, yo, you need to stop comparing me to Obama.
That's a humble man right there.
He is an extremely humble dude. And
you can tell, yeah.
Look, I'll be real with you. Like, for 10 years, I just assumed that he understood what Linsanity meant to.
Like, the gravity of the situation.
I just never even thought more than that. I was just like, it's the same way I assumed that Obama understood what it meant for everybody being president, right? Like, when you become a symbol of that hope, of that like possibility, we're all human beings at the end of the day. So we don't know how people to handle that, right? And I think it was wrong for me to assume that he just like understood exactly how I felt.
Uh-huh.
But one, obviously, millions of people felt that way, and our interviews are a great example.
Yeah, because he came across very surprised.
Yeah. Well, like, but here's the thing: you heard Jeremy in the movie. Like, he's very aware of like how it's seen now and what it means to people. When we got to the conversation about like just making this about the community and anti-Asian violence, like, yeah, we were on it.
Okay, good.
When we got Jeremy in, even so, we got Jeremy. Okay, let's go. Big places, start funding this thing. Even then, it wasn't happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Even with him on board. We
raised enough money to get this thing to the stage where we did all the interviews and we had a string out, and that's when HBO first heard about the movie, and they have been incredible to us. Our HBO producer Bentley Weiner, she was like, Traylon was working on another project with her, and he just mentioned that I'm working on this other thing called 38 The Gardens about Jeremy Lin and Linsanity, and she was like, I've been waiting to make a project about Linsanity for 10 years. Okay, tell me about this project.
Yeah. Nice.
And that's when the conversation with HBO began. HBO coming in is why you see the movie the way it is right now. Like, it is a beautiful product. That is very much the collaboration that we've had with them. I can't complain about anything with the way that they've treated this project and the way they've elevated all the voices in that doc and this topic in general.
Yeah. Kudos, by the way, having Iman Shumpert and Tyson Chandler. You can tell like they legit love this guy.
Yeah.
They only had really good things to say about him. Thank God, you know what I mean? Like, because he deserves everything about that.
Yeah.
Is there like any fucking like memorable moment that stood out while you're doing this project?
Man, that Hassan story about the Toronto buzzer beater took me out.
Ooh.
When he was saying,
that play.
Move.
Yeah.
He hit that buzzer beater against Toronto, right? And Hassan's talking about the wave off.
Yep.
I've been thinking about Linsanity for 10 years, and I just never even thought about it from that perspective, about it being like...
Me too, yeah.
Yeah. We refused to see the stage. We're the protagonists. We're not the supporting character. Going back to those pre-draft notes from the NBA, like, lacks confidence, always passing the ball to his teammates. Like, talk about being the very opposite of that.
Yeah.
I think I was just hyped that he made the basket, right? I was like, oh my God. But like, to break it down on that level was amazing to me. That is probably my favorite moment, deep moment in the movie.
There's so many.
So I would say like my favorite joke in the movie is when Jenny Yang and Ronnie Chang tag team for that David Ho joke.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That took me out. So that, I would say that one too. So it's like that deep moment, and then that hilarious, because I didn't bring it up.
They brought it up separately on their own.
And the animation in the thing, like that fridge is like my fridge growing up. Like that's my parents putting David Ho's Time magazine cover on the fridge.
Be this guy.
Like,
yeah.
Especially if you're a millennial, you're Asian, and your parents really want to be a doctor. That was supposed to be your MJ.
Yeah, that's your hero.
Yeah, we all wanted to be MJ, but your parents were like, you have to be David Ho. Yes, I don't know if you've seen the movie yet, but I'm like really excited for David Ho to watch the movie.
Oh my God, imagine.
You gotta slide into his DMs and ask him if he's actually watching this thing. Or just send him like a short clip of this reference.
I don't know. I don't think David Ho strikes me as somebody that has social media.
That's true.
Very serious.
Maybe his kids.
He's like busy finding another cure.
Exactly. That's exactly what he's doing.
That's what he's doing right now.
Going back to that Toronto moment, I vividly remember that shot in Toronto more than I do at the actual 38 at the Garden.
Wow.
Because that was on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And I was with my wife. We were at the most romantic restaurant in all the world, the Cheesecake Factory. The Cheesecake Factory is not K-Town. So I was not necessarily surrounded by people that look like me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But still, every person in that restaurant, from every seat, you can pretty much find a TV. And they had this game on every fucking TV. Every patron of the restaurant of the Cheesecake Factory, whether they were Asian or they were white, they were like glued to this. And my God, when he was taking that shot and he hit it, I jumped up. I screamed. My table screamed. Mm-hmm. Half the restaurant was like going crazy for that shot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys feel this way. Like when Linsanity was first happening, I kind of felt like that was the first time I personally held my chest up high and recognized the fact that I was Asian American.
That's true.
It's one of those things where until you see someone doing something that represents you, you don't actually know what you're missing, or you discover these new feelings about what it is like to be Asian American. Yeah,
well, look, this is still a very new identity, right? I think like people, if you really go ham on what Asian American identity is, it's still very nebulous for people. So moments like that form community. They form identity.
Yeah.
So much of the Asian community in this country are people who came after the 1965 Immigration Nationality Act from all over Asia. Mm-hmm. So very much first generation, second generation people. So a lot of people are holding on to the old country, right?
Yeah.
It just takes time to break away from that. That's the American experience. So you combine that with an identity that a lot of Asian American West Coast activists created in the late 1960s as influence from Black Power. That's where the phrase Asian American comes from. So you're asking this very American, very pre-1965 identity to be assigned to people whose the vast majority of families came recently. It's really hard because a lot of people are like, nah, I'm Korean. No, I'm Vietnamese. No, I'm Hmong. No, I'm Asian. I'm Chinese. Whatever. People are attached to the old country because that's just proximity.
Right. So
this very American identity was created by West Coast activists from people from like Japanese and Chinese identities way back, right, before 1965, to assign that to a group of people who feel very new in this country. It's always been awkward. It's always been hard. And moments like Linsanity, to me, are moments when people start making that identity more real. Right? Because anybody with an Asian face, if you present as Asian in this country, you felt something during Linsanity. That's sort of the melting pot of America, right? You sort of have to all identify as Asian instead of like your own native country, your mom's country, dad's country. Yeah. In order for you to form the identity. So I think that's the way I always felt about that moment too. I mean, we just went deep into history. We don't need to go.
No, it's good.
That was cool. That was deep take.
It's been 10 years, like you said. In that moment, things felt so grand. But 10 years down the line, those feelings that we had during that time, that pride that we felt, how come it didn't translate to more than what it actually did? That's the ultimate question that I had coming out of this. During the times in between Linsanity and these past couple of years, like, it didn't feel like much happened.
Yeah.
You had the media taking some steps up. You had more representation seen in media. Even that was 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago, right?
Right.
There was still a lag in between.
And, like the hard part about all of this is like, I think there's a lot of lip service, right? And I think anti-Asian violence is a scary enough phenomenon for people to pay attention.
Yeah.
For sure. But you look at the Asian stories that people pay attention to, it still involves somebody who like is saying "hiya" and going ham on some kicks or punches, right?
Yeah.
It's still just display of ridiculous wealth, right? Like Crazy Rich Asians, House of Ho, or like
Bling Empire. Yeah.
Those are the things that people watch when there's an Asian story. I mean, look, I watch everything, but like I love The Farewell, I love Minari, I loved all the
great movies, by the way.
Stories, right? But like, outside of like my community and like, like well-meaning, intended like liberals, like who's like people aren't watching that.
Right, yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Like, I'll tell you why we made it a short, because we definitely had enough material to make it a feature.
Yeah.
When Trayvon was competing for his Oscar, he was getting a lot of like just like press hits and analytics on like how the movie is doing compared to other stuff. And his was a short, and he was like, and that was the year Minari was nominated for a Academy Award for Best Picture, Young Picture. Okay, and he was like, "Yo, you're not gonna believe this when I'm seeing these reports." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "My short is getting more PR than Minari."
Huh.
People don't want to watch Asian stories, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It also it kind of low key means like they don't give a shit.
Okay, and like that. Have you seen that movie? That movie's amazing.
It is.
Yeah,
it's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
I got mad emotional.
And I watched The Farewell with my mom. We both cried at the end, right? Like, just
that
like,
was a great movie.
Incredible movies. Like, everybody should be watching these movies. And like the hard reality for being Asian in America is like, unless you kicking somebody or you got mad wealth, people are still not paying attention. And when we came to it, we're like, okay, you know what? We're not giving anybody any excuses. Okay, if we made this like a 2-hour doc, Asian Americans will watch it and basketball fans will watch it. We want to send a message with this movie about stereotypes, and especially talking about it in the context of anti-Asian violence. That's why we made this movie.
It was really powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really powerful towards the end. I was like, oh my God, like, this is the fucking grave reality of what's really going on. Mm-hmm. Like, just acknowledge what's going on. That's all we're asking.
And when it's 38 minutes long, you don't have an excuse not to watch it.
Yeah.
True.
Okay? Except for those 2 PR people that you mentioned who interviewed you but forgot to watch the movie.
Yeah.
But you get what I mean, though, right? Like that's why like people are like, well, why is it a short? I'm like, it's a short because we don't want to give anybody any excuses. Okay, that's the bargain we're making with the American viewer. Okay? That's what it's like to be Asian in America.
That's
all
tough.
Right? We don't have a kung fu movie.
Because you have all the stuff there to make this, like you said, a full featured movie, but you're basically saying that you're making this shorter just so you don't lose people's attention spans or give them another reason not to watch the film.
100%.
That is more of our community having to adjust what we want just for the broader audience.
You rather not, but I'm not giving anybody any excuses.
Did you get any, was there any people that gave you shit for this, like backlash and stuff?
I mean, if you want to go on Twitter, people are like, how could you make a documentary about something that happened for 2.5 weeks? What is that?
Haters.
One, you're talking about it, which means that,
good press.
Good for us. But two, go watch the movie, man. Because I guarantee you that even if you're a huge basketball fan, I have not had one person after they've watched the movie who has come up to me and wanted to talk basketball. Not one. This entire time. So we premiered at Tribeca in June. And then we ran the gamut for Asian American Film Festival this summer. And it was just audience award after audience award. You can imagine, right? Yeah. And at our HBO event, I can't think of one person that asked me about basketball after the movie.
The tail end of the movie, you specifically chose to dedicate a whole third of it to Asian hate that's happening in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Why was that the conscious choice to do so?
Well, because the movie's actually about stereotypes, right? At Tribeca, there was this little kid. We had 4 screenings at Tribeca. One of them was with the Knicks, and Jeremy had invited Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah,
Jeremy invited all these Asian American community organizations from New York to watch it, and they brought a lot of people. And there was this little kid. He didn't look older than like 10 years old. Okay. He was like sitting close to the front. And towards that part of the movie, the anti-Asian hate movie part, he's crying, dude.
Oh, damn.
It's
I don't
graphic.
know what you were like. No, but like I don't know what you were like when you were 10. I was sort of an idiot. I'm not crying at any movie. That's just, I don't know enough about the world to cry at a movie.
Right.
It was worse back then too, with some of the shit you were watching.
Yeah.
It's like Scarface. You watch it as a kid, you're like, oh shit.
But it's to say that the movie had a deeper meaning that touched that particular kid in a way that you and I, when we're watching these other things as a kid, that we never really felt.
He's going to school and he's experiencing this. I'm sure you all have, or you got kids or you have friends with kids. In the age of COVID, what are they saying to their kids before they walk into the classroom? Don't make any noises. Don't draw attention to yourself. They're going to call you Kung Flu. They're going to call you China virus. Like, whatever. And I'm like, that broke my heart. And like, the biggest reaction that was unexpected for me, and if we did expect it, maybe we wouldn't have dropped so many F-bombs in the movie, is just how kids are reacting to it, man. Because a lot of kids, they don't remember Linsanity or they weren't even alive. Jeremy's foundation has been collecting a lot of these letters, like essentially a lot of kids writing reviews of the movie.
Oh.
If I show them to you, you cry.
Wow.
Damn.
Like anything's possible. Anything's possible. And if you don't have examples of that, like what you were saying earlier about how, like, it seemed like in 10 years since Linsanity, like not much has changed. Like, they don't have those examples on TV. They don't have those stories that people can tell. They don't have those stories that their parents can tell them about being like, hey, like you can do anything you want. Even in this country telling you that you don't belong here, when they're calling you China virus or whatever, like you can do anything you want here. And that's what I'm sorry, I'm getting like that's what Linsanity is always meant.
I have a son too, and I completely get that. I never thought about it in that fashion. You and I were old enough to live through all that, and we were pretty much adults at that point, so it maybe didn't impact us the same way.
Yeah.
I never thought about the fact that young kids these days either never grew up with that or had such a very faint memory of that it didn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
And for them to relive that moment and to see that someone that looks like them can do so much and not have it be a fictitious character, because that's different.
True.
It's great seeing representation in movies and TV. Those are stories. This is a real life human being who grew up in this country, who lived through all this shit, and then being able to revisit a point in his life that can now inspire kids of this particular age.
Yes.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, man. That's that Pablo Torre line at the end of the movie.
Speaking of Pablo Torre, he was at ESPN, whatever. They thought he was an IT guy.
Yeah, man.
And, I was like, man, and this guy's so smart. Pablo Torre is like...
Pablo Torre went to Harvard.
I didn't know that. Damn.
Oh, there we go. Now, see, it shows.
Sheesh,
Speaking of like all the people that you had onto the documentary, what was the choice between choosing who?
I mean, look, we told you earlier about how the fundraising worked and everything else. Who said yes?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, by the way, Iman is a great storyteller. I love listening to this guy.
Also, just like the honesty, man. Like, because like
yes,
the whole section when he's talking about like Jeremy sleeping on the couch, man. Like the way he put it in perspective of things was just it cut right to the chase. Like I don't want to give too much away, but like he's like like you ever play against somebody who sleep on the couch? Playing against
most of the players are just sleeping like in their mansions or their luxury apartments afterwards.
Exactly.
Right. I always put it this way. I don't know if you all seen Bend It Like Beckham, which is like one of my favorite movies.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. OG throwback.
Bend It Like Beckham is about the same thing, right? About convincing your parents that you can follow your dreams playing sports. And the end of the movie is her having convinced her parents, and she can finally go to America to play college women's soccer, right? So the way I describe it to people, I'm like, this movie is if she went to America, became incredible, and then like performed on the global stage. Like,
real life.
You can't write this.
No, you can't
write this story. What Jeremy did is insane. It blows me. I mean, to this day, even after making this movie, even after 10 years, I still can't believe it happened.
I agree with you. It's crazy. If you pitched the whole story of Jeremy Lin to like a movie producer, they're gonna be like, dude, this like no way. Yeah, get out of here, man. I'm not buying it. That's how amazing this thing is.
Okay, this is Lingjie from the future, aka the future 5 minutes from now. Frank had to run because he had another interview. The conversation went so well and so fun that we both fucking lost track of time.
We needed more time.
We will not leave you listeners without our favorite section of every single podcast.
There you go.
Ranting and raving. Unfortunately, Frank cannot join in on this, but in case I do get like a message from him, if he does have something to bitch about, I will record something.
Maybe if we meet up with him, we'll be like, yo.
That's not going to work out for the time of the release.
Oh, fuck it then. Just kidding, guys.
Okay, time to get to our favorite segment of the whole podcast. This one's a little bit weird, but let's make this work somehow.
Right. Our favorite segment, we're going to be talking about crypto. Oh, no. Just kidding. My bad.
Ranting and raving. Ben, what do you have to bitch about this week?
I'm going to keep it in theme of our guest. So sometimes I go to raves when I was younger, when I was a young lad. Mm-hmm. The thing is, sometimes people wear fucking basketball jerseys. So I would rock, I didn't have a Jeremy Lin jersey at the time, but I'll wear a New York Knicks Amari Stoudemire jersey.
Okay.
But while I'm walking through the crowd, right, every motherfucking dude will come like, yo, Jeremy Lin.
This is happening when? Nowadays or back then the days?
Oh, back then, dog.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I got to do a social experiment. I got to try that again. But they'll just straight up come up to me like, yo, Jeremy Lin?
Oh my God.
Jeremy Lin, bro? So yeah, that's my rant. You guys are fucking racist, but go Knicks. We're going to win it this year. So there you go. Greatest point guard of all time.
Of all time.
Maybe in the past 20 years, at least. Come on, guys. Jeremy Lin could play right now, and he'll get us a fucking ring. New York Knicks, sign him.
You've got some very strong opinions.
Thank you.
Want to bitch about my back. I wanted Frank to hear this. Anyway, my back hurts.
Right now?
Dude, I'm like... We are in our mid to late 30s. I don't think I should be experiencing this kind of back pain. I really don't. And
what'd you do?
And the amount that I take care of myself physically and enough sleep and stretching after working out and all that stuff, I shouldn't be feeling this.
Yeah.
So anyways, for most of my life, I used to sleep face down, like I was trying to suffocate myself.
That is so fucking weird. Are you serious?
Most of my life, I used to go face down, and that's just how I slept. And I always slept comfortably like that. So
how the fuck?
So from the outside looking in, it looked like I was trying to suffocate myself with my pillow.
You look like you're drowning in the ocean in a bed. That's what it looks like.
I slept like that my whole life, and I never had back issues. So now
I get nightmares.
Reverted back to sleeping on my back. So like a regular human being, I have my back on the thing, and I'm facing up into the ceiling like that, right? The other day, I had insomnia for a couple of days, and I was like turning in bed, and eventually I ended up on the same suffocating facing down position.
You weird fuck.
And I guess I must have fallen asleep in that position because I woke up with extreme back pain. And this is
on your stomach?
No, on my back, dude.
What the fuck?
This is a new kind of back pain. I know it's because of that. I have had some back pain, but it's usually lower back pain, so I know that's different than this. This is mid back pain, which is brand new to me.
Yeah,
Old dog can learn new tricks. This is brand new kind of back pain. So I know it's directly as a result of me sleeping on my stomach.
Can I ask you, what kind of mattress you sleeping on?
I sleep on like a $3,000 mattress.
Wow. Wow. This guy just had to fucking throw the number. I asked what kind of bed, sir. Not how much fucking capital you invested into this shit. All right, guys, you heard it, right? This motherfucker. Go on.
I sleep on a Tempur-Pedic.
Oh, there you could have just said that, man.
This episode is not sponsored by Tempur-Pedic.
Yeah, my God, $3,000.
That's before tax too, but.
Yes, please complain about your fucking amazing bed. Yes.
Fuck my back pain. That's all I'm saying.
I don't even know what to say. Like, do you need to work? You work out too. I don't get it. I'm befuddled right now. I'm just looking at Lingjie.
We have to wrap this up. I know you've got another thing to get to right after this. Dude, it was amazing talking with you.
Thank you so much for this, man.
Next time you're back in New York, we'll try to get together, or if you're doing any other projects here.
Perfect.
We could definitely do K-Town.
Definitely do K-Town.
I would love that.
For those that don't know, where can they watch this film?
October 11th on HBO and streaming on HBO Max.
I will have the links down below. Guys, you will love this thing. It will really transport you back. It doesn't matter if you're a basketball fan. If you're just a human being with emotions, you will really, really enjoy this film.
Yes.
And Frank, dude, it was amazing chatting with you.
Thank you, man.
I hope you're caffeinated for the next interview. All right, man. I know you got to run, okay?
Take care, folks. Thanks for having me.
Love you, man.
Please do watch the movie. Do watch the film. It's on HBO Max. It is a great time. Frank is an amazing character.
He's a man.
The film is actually amazing. It's super short, like he said. It's freaking 38 minutes, so you're not going to waste any time actually watching it. It is a lot to do about sports, obviously, but it has a much, much deeper meaning.
It has a bigger picture.
If you don't have HBO Max, Help up the numbers. Go sign up for HBO trial membership, watch the movie, then cancel your trial.
I got it even better, guys. I'm going to put Lingjie's address, and you guys just come over and have a little slumber party and just watch it with him. And he'll massage his fucking back at the same time.
All right, guys, that is not a real message. Do not do that, please.
I got you guys.
If you want to stay up to date with what we're doing on a daily basis, follow us at Worst Asian Pod. That's Worst Asian Pod on every single social media, especially Instagram. That's where we stay connected with you guys. If you want to support us, just tell your friends about it so that they can follow us. Leave us a 5-star written review on Spotify and Apple. If you want to support us financially, we have an Amazon referral link. You buy whatever the fuck you want. Jeff Bezos gives us a couple cents. Or if you are loaded with money, we also have a buy me a coffee link. That's where you give us that money. But I'm not joking. Don't ever fucking feel obligated. It's just there for the people that can't afford to just drop $100 bills from their pockets.
Yes, if you're very bored and drunk and want to do a good thing, don't be shy.
In the meantime, we'll catch you guys next week. Adios.
Bye.
See ya later.